Hey, this is Mike, and today we've got just a general Unity 6.1 video. There's in Unity 6.1 was recently released as a recommended version. So, but you might not know that what this issue is. So, there's an issue with 6.1, and it breaks the mouse hover um, functions, the events. So there's some events like OnMouseOver and OnMouseExit, OnMouseEnter that are available in Unity, but if you just try by default to create a new project in 6.1, and you'll notice that they don't work at all. So I have this cube here, and I've got the mouse hover test script attached to it. So this should work. So it's going to say mouse is over the game object, mouse is no longer on the game object for OnMouseExit. So if we run this, we see in the console there's nothing's going on here. It's not um, it's not reacting at all to this, so it's as if it's totally ignoring it. So if we look at the documentation for this, so in the Unity mono behavior documentation for 6.1, we have some events here. They call them messages. They have OnMouse down, OnMouse drag, enter, exit, and OnMouse over, OnMouse up. I think that's one of them as well. All of these ones where they're very similar functions that say that once you're over the collider, it will do it. So let's look at OnMouseEnter, for instance. It's called when the mouse enters the collider. So the cube has a box collider on it, so it should work. The corresponding function is called while the mouse stays over the object, and OnMouseExit is called when it moves away. So there's an example script. This function is not called on objects that belong to the ignore raycast layer. So we just want to make sure your cube is not using ignore raycast. Layer is default, so it should work. Also, the other thing to check is it's called on colliders in 2D colliders marked as trigger when the following properties are set to true. For 3D physics, physics.queries hit triggers. So if that's a setting, we can check as well. So in the project settings, in the physics settings under game object tab, we can check the queries hit triggers. So that's checked. So, well, maybe the solution, you might think, maybe the solution is to make this a trigger, this box color, and then we can see if it works. Now if it works. And we see that it still does not work. Nothing's happening. So there's nothing else is mentioned here as to what controls how it works. So it looks like it's completely broken. So, but what is the solution then, you might ask? And I had to do some searching in the forums, and apparently what I did find was the new input system does not support these functions or these events. The new input system doesn't work with these events at all. So the solution here in the project settings is to go to the player tab settings, and we go here where it says other settings. So by default in 6.1 it's set to input system package new, right? So this won't work because these don't work with the new input system. So what we have to do is put it to both. Or you could put it to old, but you'd probably want to put it to both. In 6.0, the default is both. So we can let's change it to both and see if that fixes it. Let me cancel that and save my scene first. It's in play mode. Okay. Let me save the scene and then we'll switch it to both and see if that fixes it. So now that it's relaunched the editor, it now says both. It gives you a warning. It says the input manager is a legacy feature and not recommended for new projects. For new projects, you should use the input system package. That's all well and good, but those events don't work with the new system. So you have no choice if you want to use a mouse hover to use it, right? To use the old system, at least just for those things, right? So now, if I hover my mouse over, now you'll see it's working. It's working perfectly. That's how it's doing. It's over. It's no longer. So now it's firing as normal. So that was the problem. The new input system does not support these. And then the other thing we can show here is if I change the cubes layer to ignore raycast as per the documentation, we'll see that it no longer works either because it's supposed to ignore it because it's using raycasts to do this on mouse hover behavior. So if you ignore the raycast, of course it's not going to work. So and let's just see if we uncheck is trigger. We'll see if it still works as well. And it does still work with whether or not this is a trigger, it still works. So for some reason, Unity can't support this under the new input system. So any of your games that use that, just be aware that if you bring them into 6.1, make sure that your input handling is set to both. Otherwise, these events don't work at all. Yeah, so I had found out about this issue because one of my subscribers mentioned that the on-mouse hover event in Game Creator 2 that I downloaded from the hub in this video right here, the on-mouse hover event video I did, was totally not working. And it turns out he was using 6.1, and it turns out changing the input handling to both fixed that as well, even though it's Game Creator 2, it's using an action from the hub, but in behind the scenes, it's using those same events. This fix works for both. So whether or not you're using just base Unity, or if you're using Game Creator or any other asset that uses these events behind the scenes, this will affect you as well. So that's the fix. Just change your active input handling to both, and you'll be fine. The only problem is, like, if Unity in the future decides to get rid of the input manager altogether, this won't be an option to fix it. As far as I'm concerned, they need to fix these events so that they work with the new input system. Otherwise, you're going to lose this functionality if they ever get rid of the old system. I don't know if they will, but if they do, it's going to be a problem. So that's it for today. Hopefully this helps. If it helped you, please like and subscribe. It helps the channel. And thanks to all my patrons. And if you want to be a patron, you can check the link down below. And I will see you in the next one.